Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wa salatu wassalam ala rasulillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome all viewers. In my previous two videos, we were discussing how the red pill ideology has been having a major effect on a lot of the Muslims on social media. While we can acknowledge that there are certain aspects of red pill that were needed, that were beneficial, we also need to acknowledge the fact that Muslims are not in need of red pill or any of these outside ideologies, and we should also warn against these extremes that we are now seeing brothers go to. In this specific video, I want to bring attention to something that I am going to label the red pill paradox. And the reason I want to call it that is because the Muslims who try to integrate red pill into their deen, they are going to approach this ideology from the perspective of marriage. So a major topic of discussion regarding these brothers is marriage, and specifically what types of women men want to marry. And there are three main things I want to mention today that I have seen some of these dawah entertainers pushing when it comes to marriage. Number one, there seems to be this obsession with emphasizing the fact that a woman who has never been touched, a woman who has never been with a man, is more desirable than one who has. There have been so many videos being posted recently where this is the topic of discussion, going on the streets, interacting with people, sitting on couches, having discussions with men and women, free mixing, discussing these sorts of very intimate things that you would think are really not appropriate for Muslims involved in what they call da'wah. But this is something we're clearly seeing. There's this emphasis that men prefer a woman who has never been with a man before. The second thing that I keep seeing emphasized is that men want a younger woman. Some of the language we've seen is women age like milk, more specifically, somebody who's very outwardly a proponent of red pill ideology, saying that that's even being too nice, that women age worse than milk. So these sorts of entertainers in the name of da'wah really want to emphasize the fact that women, they should marry young, because that is when they are most desirable. And the third thing that is being promoted by some of these Muslim entertainers in the name of da'wah is the idea that women should not be educated. Now here's where the paradox comes into play. Let's say that a woman agrees to all three of these things, that she agrees to get married having never been with a man before, she's young, and she's not educated. A concern that she is going to have, and a concern that her wali, her male guardian, is going to have is, well, what is she going to do if the marriage doesn't work out? What is she going to do if you two get divorced? Because those three things that made her so desirable in the first place are now, once she's divorced, going to work against her. Because number one, now she has a body count. She's been with someone before. Number two, she's aged. She's older now. And number three, the fact that she's uneducated, doesn't work, never worked, doesn't have a career, she's left with no way to support herself. And this is why I call this the red pill paradox, because although brothers are pushing this, trying to encourage women to get married, actually it can have the opposite effect. And it's really important to internalize the fact that this can occur due to reasons outside of feminism. Many brothers will act like feminism is the only explanation, that women are pursuing education and careers and delaying marriage simply because they're feminists. Yes, there definitely are some that do, but it's very dismissive and ignorant to assume that that's always the case. When brothers are constantly diminishing the value of a woman who has been married before, been with a man before, or a woman who is older, you might be trying to encourage women to marry young and not delay marriage. But you're also going to be diminishing their trust in you, that you're going to still care about them when they get older. And you could also be overemphasizing and encouraging brothers to act on these desires that they have for younger women. So taking all of this into consideration, there are many women, along with their wali, who might think it's better for them to delay marriage for a little bit, but at least make sure that they have some sort of education, so if things don't work out in a marriage, they can take care of themselves. And that's not to even mention a lot of the rough and tough, completely insensitive behavior that a lot of brothers within this ideology are showing. And that's why I really want to emphasize to the viewers that a lot of the stuff these people are talking about and promoting, it's entertainment. People watch it because it's shocking, or because they like seeing men and women sitting on the couch talking to each other about these controversial issues. whereas it's not really foundationally based in Islam or knowledge or reality. So for example, one thing I'm noticing coming from a lot of single brothers on social media is they seem to have this enthusiasm about how they're really going to step up and they're going to be a great husband and they're going to do whatever it takes to take care of their wife. Even if they have to work, all these different jobs, they're going to take care of their families. It's very easy to retweet a meme proclaiming all of this stuff, especially when you're not yet married. Those initial stages of trying to find a spouse, finding somebody, having those butterflies, having those feelings, they call it the honeymoon phase. It's really easy to make all of these promises during that time. But the reality is, a lot of brothers have no idea what they're getting themselves into. They have no idea the tests and hardships that they're going to face in a marriage. They're clueless about women and how to treat women. Allah created death and life to test us. You're going to be tested in your life. You're going to be tested with your wife, with your kids, with your wealth. We can't even imagine. We can't foresee the types of trials that lay ahead of us. May Allah guide us and protect us and make it easy for us. Ameen. But my point is, by consuming all of this entertainment online and allowing it to shape our view of marriage and relationships and how a man and a woman should be, it is setting us up for failure. I just want to share some actual life experiences. I've been Muslim now for over 14 years. I've experienced a lot and I've seen a lot. One thing I've seen a lot of is brothers treating marriage like dating. And what I mean by that is I've seen many situations where as soon as though that honeymoon phase goes away, maybe after a year or a couple of years, a husband might not be as attracted to his wife. He will move on. I've seen this happen many times with religious practicing brothers, let alone people who might not even have a lot of taqwa or really be practicing. Now, one can easily say, oh, well, if that's how he feels, he should marry a second wife. But unfortunately, many of us struggle to even support and fulfill the rights of one wife or one family. So then just due to the fact that the desire for one's wife may have gone down and his desire has gone up to find a second one, he gets divorced and he goes on to another wife. And then he repeats the same process with that wife. So now he has multiple women with multiple kids that he fulfilled his desires with initially, but after that faded away, he didn't stick around. And that's what a lot of brothers fail to realize. This sort of thing happens way more than we talk about. And this is far from the worst of it. Let's just say that this is from, practicing brothers. If we go to the other end of the spectrum, other things that many women have dealt with is abuse. There's also infidelity, people having affairs, committing zina, not going and getting a secret second wife. I'm talking about not even getting married, just committing zina. Some people, they have addictions. They get addicted to drugs. A lot of people are not going to broadcast this all over social media because it's personal. But these are things that are unfortunately happening within our community more than we'd probably like to admit. So of course, people are going to see these things happening and they are going to be concerned. They're going to try to prepare for the worst case scenario. So as a result, many are delaying getting married and they're trying to get educated and have a career. But to ignore all these concerns and to just tell them, no, you need to marry when you're young. You need to not get educated. You need to be a submissive, obedient wife. These are not going to help you get married. This is not going to convince these women. And this isn't even preparing you for what marriage actually is, for what marriage is actually like, for what is required of you as a Muslim husband. And trust me, I know that it goes both ways. I know that there are situations where the husband is abused, where the husband is taken advantage of. Those sorts of concerns should also be addressed. However, if the red pill Muslim brothers are really concerned about being men, being masculine, then understand it's much more than just being in shape and doing martial arts. There's more to it than just leading your family and making money. There is an awful lot about being a man and being a husband that is not glamorous. It's not entertaining and fun to talk about online. And unfortunately, one thing I'm seeing a lot of online is young men are not being prepared. They're busy being entertained and having their minds filled with a bunch of nonsense by ignorant people. And this is going to harm all of us. It's going to harm the women, and it's going to harm the men, and it's going to harm our children. So what we really need is to return to the Quran and Sunnah, and we need to learn from people of knowledge, not entertainers. Allah knows best. Thank you for watching. jazakumAllahukhairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.